Amazing discovery. Cleaner Fingerprint revealed her as 3CEO's hidden, long-lost sister. Maya Thompson stood in the dimly lit archive, surrounded by the musty scent of forgotten documents. The city roared unforgivingly outside, but within these four walls, time itself seemed stale. She brushed the dust off a box and, as her fingers grazed over something cool and smooth, her heart skipped. A ring glinted beneath the debris, a striking insignia capturing her attention like a lighthouse beacon in a storm. Could it be? She barely remembered her father, who passed away when she was just 6, but the ring stirred something in her, a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, it was his. As a single mother working part-time as a cleaner for a prestigious law firm, the thought of a hidden past collided violently with the demands of the present. There was little time for distractions. Tyler needed school supplies and rent was due. But the pull to uncover the ring's story gnawed at her, a whisper in her mind suggesting that within this discovery lay something more significant, a connection to her identity, a chance to understand her family's history. In a world that often overlooked her, what if this ring represented a legacy worth claiming? The psychological weight of her dilemma escalated as she examined the ring under the flickering fluorescent light. A nagging urgency filled her. What if her father had been someone important? What if his life unraveled into a tapestry of secrets she was just beginning to distill? Questions raced through her mind, stealing her focus. If she pursued this, if she knocked on the doors of 3CEOs, the sons of the man whose blood ran through her veins, would they even entertain her existence as the sister they never knew? Or would disdain wash over their faces as they dismissed the cleaner from the back alleys of the city? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. She took a deep breath, feeling the tension coil around her chest. The fear of rejection mixed with an aching sense of determination. Was she ready to confront the gilded lives of the brothers who had gone on with their lives while she was left to scrape together a semblance of normalcy? The emotional chasm felt insurmountable, but the possibility of belonging was intoxicating. What if she stood before them, claimed her rightful place, and revealed the grit that had shaped her? Could they understand that family transcends privilege? The stakes amplified as she gripped the ring tightly, allowing it to anchor her to the future she yearned for. She would not only reveal her past, she would redefine her identity, push past the invisible barriers of class. But that realization brought another wave of anguish. Doubt hovered. Her heart raced at the thought of those powerful men treating her as an afterthought. What if they laughed her out of the room? What if she was nothing more than a ghost from an inconvenient past? Maya stood at the precipice of a decision that could change everything. The weight of possibility pressed down on her as she stared out at the skyline, the sun dipping behind the towering buildings. Would she step into the light of unknown futures? Could she really bridge the gap between their world and hers? The answer loomed, a tantalizing whisper of hope buried beneath layers of fear. As she took a tentative step forward, the ring felt heavier, more burdened with potential than ever before. The impending confrontation would not just uncover her roots, it could either uproot her or finally plant her in fertile ground. Her heart thudded against her ribcage, screaming the questions her mind struggled to contain. Would she be welcomed? Would she find home? Maya was consumed by the chaos of her thoughts, each strand weaving a haunting tapestry of fear and hope. The dusty archive felt like a womb, a place of potential rebirth, yet burdened with the weight of her current life. The box lay open before her, revealing its secrets, but she was no longer interested in the dust or the forgotten files. Her focus was fixated on the ring, a symbol of the connection she craved but feared to pursue. Feeling the cool metal between her fingers, she began to strategize. What would she say to her brothers when the time came? Words jumbled in her mind, competing for dominance. Would she lead with vulnerability or strength? Or perhaps it would be a delicate balance of both. The urge to practice her speech grew urgent, yet each phrase felt like standing on a tightrope stretched precariously between doubt and determination. She mentally rehearsed scenarios, walking through the polished doors of their lavish offices, pleading her case, her heart pounding with intensity. Would they see her as family? Would they embrace the sorrow that had defined her life? She pictured their faces. Would they cringe at the discomfort of acknowledgement or widen in astonishment? Suddenly, a shocking thought pierced through her cloud of confusion. What if they did welcome her, coating her with the warmth of brotherly affection, yet she found herself sinking in the weight of their world, one she had never been a part of? Maya paused, stunned by the realization. A yearning for acceptance battled against her dread of losing herself in a world marked by excess and privilege. What if their success served as a constant reminder of her shortcomings? She could easily become just another poor relation at their upscale events, her past a constant specter haunting her new existence. The fear of being an imposter gnawed at her resolve. With her heart pounding, she made a choice. She would confront her brothers, but not only to claim her place. She would do it to reclaim her self-worth. Whatever their reaction, one truth shone brighter than any glimmer of the ring. She had lived, suffered, and endured. And that was a testament to her resilience. If they couldn't recognize her strength, it would be their loss, not hers. Finally, she forced herself to breathe deeply, steady her shaking hands, and tuck the ring safely back into the box. It would be a reminder, a symbol not just of her father's legacy, but of her own journey. Could this spark a change in her perspective about her societal position? She resolved to march toward self-acceptance, defining her identity not as a shadow of her brothers' lives, but as a formidable force in her own right. As she exited the archive, the shadows of her past and the city loomed outside, fully aware that she was stepping into an uncharted path. Each block unraveled new uncertainties, yet an emerging fortitude ignited within her. She would reach out to her siblings. She would knock on their doors and allow her heart to spill open, unafraid of what lay behind those polished thresholds. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, an incoming message from Tyler, his expectations innocent and bright, momentarily pulling her from the whirlwind. "When will you be home, Mom?" Maya paused, understanding the gravity of that question. Her decision was not only about her brothers. It was about setting an example for her son. She would show him that family didn't just define you, you defined family. The weight of that truth not only settled within her, but propelled her forward, solidifying her commitment to change. Tension layered the air as she considered her next steps. But as she stepped closer to the edge of a new chapter, unspoken questions still lingered. Would the men accept her story, or would they repel her with indifference? As she turned down the familiar street leading to her home, a mix of excitement and dread surged inside her, leaving her pondering one last thought: what awaited her when she courageously opened those doors. Maya stood at the threshold of her home, a spectrum of emotions swirling within her. The night's shadows brushed against the walls, rich with the weight of her decision, yet the warmth of her son's voice echoed in her mind, grounding her. He was a reflection of what she wanted to embody: resilience and courage. Facing her brothers seemed like a mountain to climb, but Tyler reminded her of the legacy. She wanted to create a narrative of strength rather than solitude. The familiar scent of home enveloped her as she stepped inside, each creak of the wooden floor reminiscent of earlier days, filled with laughter and dreams. But that familiarity brought with it a strong impulse. She needed to mentally prepare for the interactions ahead. She was not just a sister seeking connection. She was a woman with her own story that begged to be told, a narrative weighted with lessons learned and battles endured. Now more than ever, the act of reclaiming her identity became her priority. She moved to the living room, her usually cluttered sanctuary filled with remnants of family photos and remnants of forgotten hobbies, and sat on the worn-out couch. Here, she found solace. The space welcomed her doubts, cradling her insecurities. Gathering her courage, she found a pencil and paper, ready to scribble down her thoughts, as if externalizing her anxieties could somehow make them lighter. What if they don't care? The thought crept in, but Maya rebuffed it just as quickly. They needed to understand the life they had unwittingly overlooked. She jotted down snippets about her childhood, her relentless struggles, her desire for a connection that had been stunted for years. Each word became a link to her past, a tether she could use to bring clarity to her journey. As she wrote, something shifted inside her. A quiet resolve settled within her chest. A reminder of her strength took shape. The life she built amid trials was not an accident. It was a testament to her fortitude. I am Maya, she penned boldly at the top of the page. I am worthy of being heard. The act of declaration energized her determination. She realized that she didn't merely want to confront the shadows of her familial ties. She wanted to illuminate her own path, steering her own narrative. The looming interaction with her brothers was not merely a reunion. It was her chance to reshape the legacy of her existence, a chance to redefine who she was, to harness the power of vulnerability as a source of strength. A sudden urge prompted her to pick up the phone again. Scrolling through contacts, she hesitated, then deleted the past tense of sister from her vocabulary. With a decisive motion, she typed a message to her brothers, an invocation of courage. Can we talk? I need to get some things off my chest. In that moment, she felt lighter. The uncertainty still lay beyond the text bubble, but so did the prospect of something transformative. Her fingers hovered over the send button, a moment weighted with significance. Suddenly, the doubt reemerged, threatening to drown her newfound courage. What if their indifference stung? She exhaled deeply, consciously shaking off the fear. Confrontation would be uncomfortable, that was certain. Yet, she believed in the importance of this clarity, not just for herself, but for Tyler. She pressed send, the vibrations of the action solidifying a decision made not from fear, but from purpose. Now, all she could do was wait. Doubt threatened to creep back in, but she pushed against it. Choices would be made that would define them, and she was ready to persevere. Walking toward the window, she surveyed the night sky, painting her hopes against the backdrop of an uncertain world. As the minutes ticked by, her phone buzzed again, causing her pulse to race anew. Messages were incoming. Were they replies? The prospect of what those words could hold sent a thrill through her, both terrifying and exhilarating. Would she finally be stepping closer to her brothers, or would she have to navigate their indifference for the truth she craved? In that pivotal moment before the revelation, Maya's heart pounded a clarion call within her. The journey was just beginning, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. Maya's phone vibrated again, this time with a direct response. Holding her breath, she glanced at the screen, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The message was short, but the implications rolled through her mind like a wave crash. Can we meet tomorrow? Suddenly, a rush of reality flooded her thoughts. The messages carried weight, a potential revelation she had long been yearning for. That morning, as she prepared for the meeting, uncertainty gripped her stomach in knots. All her carefully contemplated truths could either unlock doors or shatter illusions. What would she say first? Would her brothers be receptive, or would they remain as distant shadows in her life? She dressed deliberately, choosing a simple yet professional outfit that projected confidence, something she felt diminished in her past dealings with them. As she made her way to the cafe where they arranged to meet, the world outside felt muted, her senses heightened by anticipation. Each step was both exciting and dread-laden. The cafe was a familiar haunt from their youth, a neutral ground that held bittersweet memories. Walking through the door, she scanned the room until her gaze fell upon them. They sat at a corner table, laughter dancing between them, an easy camaraderie that contrasted sharply with the walls she had built around herself for so long. Taking a deep breath, Maya approached. A silence fell as she drew nearer, like the universe itself holding its breath, awaiting the outcome of this moment. Her brothers looked up, their expressions fluctuating between surprise and curiosity. Maya, they breathed in unison, a name laden with memories both bitter and sweet. She took a seat, the air thick with unspoken words. Thanks for coming, Maya started, her voice steadying as she remembered her purpose. There's something important I need to address. They nodded, waiting with an intensity that felt foreign yet empowering. Regaining her composure, she began to share openly about her life, the struggles she'd faced, the courage she had mustered to reclaim her identity, the yearning for connection that had stayed dormant for years. With each word, she felt her past unraveling and her wounds beginning to mend, albeit slowly. However, the moment of vulnerability was met with mixed reactions. Her older brother, Jason, looked away, discomfort painting his features. Maya, we didn't think there was much to discuss. You've always chosen to keep things to yourself. His words pierced her like an arrow, as the label of isolation clung to her resume of familial bonds she had longed to redefine. Silence descended again, heavier this time. She found herself on the verge of retreating, wondering if she had made a grave mistake by opening up about her feelings. But the other voice in her mind fought back against that tide. She had stepped into this meeting to break free from being just a forgotten sister, to reshape the narrative around her presence. Can't we at least try to understand each other? She pressed, her voice quaking but resolute. I'm here now. I'm standing in front of you, and I need you to see me, to listen, not as a specter to be ignored, but as your sister. The weight of her words hung in the air. As her brothers exchanged glances, a flicker of realization danced behind Jason's eyes. They were navigating this uncharted territory together, the map drawn with her vulnerable plea and the ink of shared history. Just as Maya felt hope spark within her, the door opened to an unexpected situation. A woman entered, her presence commanding. Maya felt the tension in the room shift, and with it, a wave of confusion. Who is she? As the stranger approached their table, Maya sensed her brother's unease transform into concern. I think you need to see something, the woman said, pulling out a stack of papers that slid ominously between them. Maya's heart raced. What secrets did those documents hold? The complexity of the situation thickened with an unshakable gravity, and as she grasped the hurtling direction of their conversation, the realization tightened its grip on her. This meeting was just the beginning, a catalyst for revelations that could either bind them closer or tear them apart entirely. Maya sat rigidly, her heart pounding as the woman placed the documents on the table, the subtle rustle of paper slicing through the charged air. Her brother's expressions shifted from surprise to apprehension. This was not the meeting she had envisioned. There were layers unraveling beyond her understanding. What is this? Maya managed, her voice barely above a whisper, a tremor of fear threading through her tone. It's about family, the woman replied, her gaze steady and intense. Your family. Maya felt as if the ground had been pulled out from beneath her. The depth of her brother's discomfort was palpable, a tangible wall suddenly interposed between them. Jason shifted in his seat, battling a storm of emotions that Maya could hardly decipher. Did he know? Had he manipulated the course of today's conversation, only to be caught off guard now? The woman continued, a commanding clarity in her voice. These papers reveal a truth you all have been kept from for years. She pointed to a highlighted section. A DNA test conducted in the wake of a family tragedy. You three have a sister, an older sister, born under circumstances you may not have even been aware of. Instantly, Maya's mind began racing. Isolation she had felt in her own life beckoned for reckoning. The yearning for connection surged anew, coupled with a haunting curiosity. What kind of sister was she? What had been hidden from her all this time?
What are you talking about?
This has to be a mistake, Tony, her younger brother, contended, but his voice lacked the conviction he usually wielded. He flicked a glance toward Jason, who sat motionless, the weight of their shared past pressing heavily on his chest. I wish it were, but these findings are legitimate, the woman affirmed, her tone unyielding. Their fingerprints were on file, and they matched. This sister she exists, and her presence could change everything. Maya inhaled deeply, her thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance. She had fought so hard to connect with the brothers she struggled to relate to, and now a shadowy figure hovered outside their familial bond. The realization that she could be someone's sister, unique, multifaceted role they had never discussed, sent a flurry of emotions spiraling within her. Why are you telling us now? Jason finally found his voice, but it was laced with skepticism. He braced against the table, as if expecting the truth to spring forth unexpectedly. Because she wants to come forward. She's been looking for you, the woman responded, her eyes shimmering with intensity. But before she does, it's crucial that you understand your own truths. The hidden pieces of your family history will reshape your understanding of each other. Maya clenched her fists, grappling with the permission to explore this new reality. The layers of family and identity that had felt so raw moments ago now expanded to include someone she had never encountered. What would a connection with her lost sister mean for her attempts at mending her relationship with Jason and Tony? Fear and excitement warred within her, compelling her to speak. If she exists, then we need to meet her. We owe it to ourselves to uncover this. With every word, she felt herself stepping further into the contours of her identity, rewriting her narrative as she laid claim to uncertainties that once governed her. There was excitement tinged with trepidation. A family forged in disconnection could also learn to redeem their bonds in strange, new light. Are you both willing to investigate this together? Maya's voice surged with resolve, her challenge tethering them in possibility, as each brother exchanged wary glances. A small, almost imperceptible nod from Jason signaled the shift. They would face this revelation head-on. But just as the air grew thick with unspoken agreements and anticipation, the newcomer leaned in, her tone softening. There's more you need to know about her. Maya's pulse quickened again, curiosity igniting within her. She and her brothers were on the brink of discovering not just a sister, but perhaps the explanation for the tapestry of alienation they wove for years. The fragile hope for connection pulsed anew, but yet the question loomed large. Could they embrace this unexpected twist to their narrative, or would it splinter them further? As a soft, persistent hum of reality settled in, Maya realized the next steps were about to redefine not only her relationship with her brothers, but also who she was amidst this newfound chaos. What lay beneath the surface of their history? Maya's mind raced. The weight of this new information clung to her like a heavy fog, pressing in from all sides. Her thoughts darted back to the years of family secrets she'd felt hovering just out of reach. Had they all really been so adept at concealing such a monumental truth? The tension in the room shifted as the woman's words lingered in the air, heavy with implications. What do we need to know? Jason's voice cut through Maya's reverie. He seemed guarded, yet a flicker of hope danced behind his stoic expression. Perhaps he, too, was desperate for connection despite years of trying to distance himself. In this moment, he was a brother again. We need to discuss her past, the circumstances of her birth, the woman replied, folding her hands, a blend of authority and compassion anchoring her presence. There are various factors you're unaware of that might influence your relationship with her. Maya leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. What do you mean? What could possibly justify keeping a sister from us? The newcomer hesitated, searching for the right words. Your sister has lived through challenges that will not only affect her, but also how she relates to you. It's essential you understand what she's endured. It shapes everything. Maya's heart raced at the thought of a sister with struggles similar to her own. But it was also that very possibility which terrified her. The thought of an estranged sister meant facing the history she longed to uncover, yet feared to embrace. How do we find her? Maya pressed, each word imbued with resolve. The urgency to act, to reclaim the family bonds that had been severed by time and secrets, compelled her forward. That's why I'm here, the woman asserted, a slight intensity creeping into her voice. Your sister has agreed to meet you, but only if you can commit to understanding her journey first. She needs to know you're ready to embrace her truth, regardless of what that might mean. Maya exchanged glances with her brothers, their apprehensions mirrored in each other's eyes. They were all stepping into unfamiliar territory, but there was also an unspoken agreement settling in a collective determination to confront the secrets that had lingered too long. Tell us everything you know, Tony interjected, his voice steadier than before. Confidence bled into the atmosphere, an adrenaline spike that galvanized all three siblings. The woman unfolded the intricate layers of their sister's life, casting shadows and light upon the young woman who would soon insert herself into their tightly woven fabric. Maya listened, consumed by the reality of another person molded by the same history they shared. Every revelation peeled back more layers of frenzy and uncertainty that had colored their past. They learned of their sister's trials with abandonment and survival, and with each detail, Maya's vision of what family could mean expanded. How could they possibly engage with someone who had meteorically different experiences, yet was bound by blood? As the woman concluded her account, a heaviness settled back into the room. It wasn't just fear. It was the recognition that yielding to connection would mean welcoming pain, understanding betrayal, and ultimately, fostering acceptance. Maya's mind raced as she contemplated the depth of what she had unearthed. This pivotal moment wasn't just about meeting a sister. It was a critical point of transformation for all of them. We have to show her she's not alone. We need to let her know she's a part of us. The resolve in her voice emboldened her brothers, a shared commitment emerging amidst the uncertainty. They could either shrink from this challenge or rise to it. What she had initially feared now morphed into an exhilarating sense of possibility. But beneath that exhilaration lingered the knowledge that every step forward required a confrontation with their family's history, one they may not be fully prepared for. "What happens when we find her?" Maya asked, her voice steady, but filled with layers of apprehension. "Are we ready for what comes next?" The tension thick. As they faced the unknown, their collective silence becoming a heavy acknowledgement of the real work ahead. Maya's thoughts were ablaze with potential connections and the cost of healing. As the implications loomed large, she felt the pulse of uncertainty as she embarked on this next chapter, ready to brave the unknown. A knock on the door broke the silence, urgent and insistent. Who could it possibly be? Would it be the sister they sought, or would the past bring a new challenge? Maya's heart skipped a beat as the knock echoed in the room. It was a sound laced with anticipation, a challenge she couldn't ignore. Her eyes darted to her brothers, who mirrored her unease, but also showed a flicker of hope. Should someone answer it? Jason's voice wavered slightly, as if the act of opening the door would plunge them deeper into an unknown abyss. "Only if we're ready for whatever is on the other side," Maya whispered, her pulse quickening. It felt as if they stood at a precipice, a moment where everything could shift with a single push. The woman, their unexpected guide, rose from her seat. "I'll go," she offered, her tone even. There was an air of authority in her demeanor, as if she had been prepared for this kind of confrontation. As she approached the door, Maya felt a sense of gravity in the air, a sense of unarticulated potential, mingled with dread. With a steady hand, the woman turned the handle and pulled the door open. Behind it stood a young woman, her features strikingly familiar, yet hauntingly different. She had an air of guarded vulnerability about her, which drew Maya in with an unexpected force. This was their sister. Maya's anticipation transformed into a whirlwind of emotions: hope, confusion, and fear. She stepped forward, her instincts flaring. "Are you?" she began, but the words faltered. "How do you greet a sister you've never known?" "I'm here," the young woman replied softly, eyes darting between the three of them. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture that echoed her own nervousness. "You must be Maya." The woman's voice was thick with theory yet tender. It was as if the years of longing connected them in this brief moment, prompting Maya to step closer. "Yes, I am," she breathed, her own nerves simmering just below the surface. There were 1,000 questions teetering on the edge of Maya's tongue, but she sensed that diving headfirst into interrogation would only push her sister back into the shadows. "Why don't you come in? We want to talk," the young woman interjected, her expression wary yet yearning. "But only if you can promise me that you will listen." A rush of relief washed over Maya. A tiny spark of hope ignited, and she nodded. "We're all here to understand. You don't have to do this alone." As they stepped back into the room, the atmosphere shifted. The initial apprehension morphed into a cautious curiosity. Maya felt the weight of history already beginning to melt away, replaced with the tangible possibility of connection. They were here together, unexpectedly united in a bid for honesty. But as the young woman sat down, Maya noticed the way her fingers trembled slightly. She was still bracing for the storm of their past, a past forged by separations and wounds too deep to fully comprehend. Maya fought to keep her voice steady. "You can share whatever you feel comfortable with." What followed was a tale laced with setbacks that mirrored their own hidden struggles, a story filled with resilience that resonated deeply in Maya's soul. Her sister spoke of a life filled with dislocation, the scars of abandonment etched vividly in her voice. With each revelation, Maya felt a shifting within herself, a surge of empathy breaking down her initial fears and uncertainties. The moment surged with intensity, culminating in an unspoken bond forming at the center of their shared experiences. It illuminated the path ahead, fraught with challenges, but also rich with potential understanding. However, as the conversation unfolded, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something lurked beneath the surface. The pieces fit together, but gaps remained that hinted at unresolved tensions, a deeper history that threatened to ensnare them all. Just as the discussion reached a pivotal point, a bold realization struck Maya. "We need to unravel the truth behind our family's secrets," she proposed, her determination sharpening. "It's time we see the whole picture together, not just the fragments." At that moment, the young woman's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty darting across her features. "But what if the truth creates more rifts than it heals? What if we need to confront our past? All of us," Maya insisted, her gaze steady and unwavering. Nothing would progress until they fully embraced their shared narrative. But before either of them could respond, the room filled with muffled voices outside, hinting at a tension that may soon break. Secrets were being whispered, and the risk of disintegration loomed larger by the second. Maya inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of what lay ahead settle heavily on her shoulders. This was just the beginning, a crucial moment, a journey of discovery that was about to become more tumultuous than she had anticipated. As she gathered her courage for the next revelations, she couldn't shake the growing realization that they weren't alone in this anymore. Could facing the tangled truth finally pave a way for healing, or would it shatter the fragile connection they had only just begun to forge? Maya's mind reeled as the muffled voices outside became louder, invasive. It felt as if they were intruding on a fragile moment, one that threatened to implode at any second. She glanced at her sister, whose face was marred by uncertainty. There was a palpable tension in the air, the kind that warned of impending storms. "Maybe we should continue this in private," Maya suggested, her voice laced with urgency as she motioned toward the door. Every instinct in her urged that whatever awaited outside was just as constructed and tumultuous as the conversation they were having. But her sister shook her head slowly.
No.
"I came here to be honest, to confront whatever is out there. Hiding one change what has happened." The young woman's resolve ignited Maya's determination. It struck her that their shared history would remain an aching void until they collectively faced it. "You're right," Maya affirmed, feeling a sense of kinship wash over her as she weighed the delicate balance of fear and courage in this precarious moment. "Let us confront it together." Before they could brace themselves, the door swung open violently, revealing Jason and their other brother, expressions etched with concern. "Maya, we need to talk." "We heard something," Jason said, dread edging his voice. Maya's heart sank. The raw tension between unknowing fear and innate curiosity filled the space. She had an urge to shield her sister from the outside world, but nothing embarrassed her more than hiding from a confrontation. "There's something we all need to address, and it involves our family history," she said, determination lining her words. Their eyes exchanged glances, a mix of apprehension and understanding. The emergence of their sister had already shifted the dynamic. The discovery of their past could catalyze deeper connections or divide them further. "I'll tell them," her sister volunteered, although the tremor in her voice betrayed her apprehension. "They deserve to know." Maya nodded, amazed at her sister's bravery. Here was someone willing to step into the eye of the storm that had plagued them all. "We will listen," she replied, creating an inviting space that resembled something new, a sense of family beginning to emerge amidst the chaos. The young woman took a deep breath, her gaze focused on the three of them. I've been running from my past for too long, but I realize that no one really escapes it. Our family kept secrets that bloom in shadows, but the truth is still waiting to be uncovered. Maya felt the shift of the conversation as it took on a life of its own. The shadows had names, and perhaps even solutions. The older brother stepped forward, his expression softening. What do you mean? What secrets? Before she responded, their sister hesitated, unsure of how much of the lurking darkness she was ready to unleash. I found out about you when I discovered my real mother's journal. Secrets about her life, her choices. I need to reveal what I know, but I fear it may only complicate things further. Maya felt a wave of dread wash over her. Was it inevitable that more hurt would follow? The question hung in the air, ominous and heavy. Her determination clashed with a genuine fear of what lies ahead. Sometimes the truth can hurt more, she admitted. But isn't it better to confront it rather than letting it fester? With resolve budding in her sister's eyes, she nodded. Yes, it's time I stop running. The realization stirred something deep within Maya, a flicker of understanding that she too harbored untold truths, questions left unanswered. What else lurked in her psyche? What revelations awaited her amidst this new family dynamic? As she prepared herself for her sister's story, Maya hesitated, a creeping sense that exposing everything might reveal her own hidden weaknesses. Would truths bring them closer, or splinter their fragile bond further? Outside the door, the voices faded momentarily. Yet within the room, the silence felt thick with anticipation. As her sister began to speak, the words etched with careful intention, Maya sensed the whole world hanging at the precipice of transformation. That was the moment it hit her. This was not just about unearthing stories from the past. It was a chance for personal discovery, for affirming who they were meant to be. Then a sudden sharp rap on the window jolted her back, a solid reminder that truth often arrives at the most inopportune moments. Whatever awaited them now, it promised to change everything all over again. What new confrontation loomed just beyond their fragile sanctuary? The tension in the room shifted palpably, muted only by the muffled sounds of the storm brewing outside. Maya's heart raced as she steeled herself against the weight of what was to come. Her sister's truth hung like a pendulum, swinging towards revelations that could either heal or deepen their wounds. Okay, Maya said, her voice steady yet fragile. Whatever it is, just start from the beginning. Her sister nodded, visibly gathering her thoughts. For a brief moment, Maya caught a glimpse of vulnerability, an expression she had rarely seen. Perhaps this was the moment they would finally dismantle the walls built by years of silence, by misunderstandings left unchecked. I discovered the journal while clearing out some of Mom's old boxes. I never realized how much she had hidden, how many parts of her life she chose to omit. It was like opening Pandora's box, she began, her voice wavering slightly. There was a history of decisions made, without considering the consequences. It involved people I have never known, lives intertwined with ours in ways I can barely comprehend. Maya's thoughts spiraled. The journal represented not just her sister's heritage, but a secret lineage that could redefine their understanding of family. Could there be others out there? Would more restless spirits emerge, seeking acknowledgement or connection? The weight of uncertainty was both exhilarating and terrifying. What did it say? Jason pressed, his intensity matching Maya's own rising anxiety. Her sister glanced at each of them, measuring the impact of her words. There were names of men, two to be exact, a lineage of powerful figures. They were CEOs involved in industries that pushed them to success, but at the cost of personal relationships. Each shared a bond that connects them to us, particularly to our unknown mother. Maya's mind raced. If their family was entangled with influential figures, it opened the door to countless possibilities. It also ignited a flicker of determination within her, a spark to confront and redefine her own role in this new narrative. Perhaps this was not just about the past. It was about shaping their futures. Did they know about us? Maya asked, the intensity of her curiosity evident. The journal suggested they might have, especially the one who was most involved with our mom. He made choices that ultimately impacted her life in drastic ways. I think she wanted to protect us from the repercussions of those secrets. But the truth can't stay buried forever, her sister said, her conviction growing stronger. Maya felt a rush of emotions: anger, betrayal, and an awakening of pent-up ambition. They had been living in a shadow, and with each passing word, they were stepping into the light. Maybe we need to reach out, she found herself suggesting, her voice suddenly bold. If they're indeed part of our story, wouldn't it be worthwhile to bridge this chasm? We can't change what happened, but we can seize the narrative. Jason interjected, wary. But what if they don't want to be found? What if digging into this only opens wounds that are better left closed? Maya held his gaze unflinching. Staying the same is not an option either, Jason. What has this hidden past cost us? What kind of lives have we missed because of it? Could embracing the truth lead us to a better understanding of who we are? This was no longer about the resentment or silence that had pervaded their family. It was about their own development, their growing resolve to confront uncertainty rather than be paralyzed by it. Maya felt a rush of clarity. It was time to embrace their lineage, not run from it. The room was charged with an undeniable urgency, their sister's revelation acting as a catalyst, propelling each of them towards a new destiny. Just then, the window rattled again, the storm outside echoing the tumult of their emotions. Maya's heart raced as the storm's silhouette crept ominously closer. The winds howled, energy crackling in the air, as if to say that fate awaited them just beyond the horizon. What if this all leads to a confrontation we're not prepared for? Maya thought. But even as doubt threaded through her mind, a fierce determination emerged. She could shape the narrative. They could redefine their future, even in the face of uncertainty. As they stood on the edge of a new chapter, Maya's pulse quickened. What other truths lay dormant, waiting to be unearthed? What encounters awaited them as they sought out the enigmatic lives intertwined with their own? The air thick with anticipation, Maya's journey toward personal discovery had only just begun. What awaited them on the other side of the storm? Maya took a deep breath, the storm palpable both outside and within. Resolute, she sensed an undeniable push to embrace the unknown, transforming uncertainty into opportunity. The air crackled with promise, and she felt the empowerment settle deeper into her bones. This wasn't just about meeting her sister or learning of a hidden lineage. It was the chance to reclaim her narrative, to overcome a past that had often eclipsed her potential. Let us prepare, she said, her voice steady. We need to know everything before reaching out. Knowledge is power. If we're going to confront our family's history, let us do it armed with understanding. The subtle nods from Jason and their sister fueled her determination. Each new revelation grew roots in the fertile ground of acceptance. Maya sensed she was no longer just a distant figure in this family saga. She was now an essential character ready to steer their narrative toward a shared destiny. Hours flew by as they discussed the details her sister had uncovered. The names, the choices, and the looming scars of their family tree emerged vividly, each revelation heralding something significant. Maya could feel their emotional armor shedding, allowing vulnerability to expose their hidden strengths. It felt revolutionary. They were no longer bound by the shadows of their past. They were preparing to confront them head-on. As the night deepened, the storm quieted to a gentle patter against the window, a soothing background to their focused discussions. Each moment dug deeper into the essence of who they were becoming. Clarities emerged that answered what had been unanswered for years. Maya channeled this energy into action, her spirit igniting as she crafted a message, a call to their family's forgotten roots. We'll write to them, she declared, the idea galvanizing the room. We'll invite them to meet, to face whatever truth unfolds. But let us set ground rules. We'll be transparent, honest, and willing to listen. This is our chance to bridge the divide. Her brothers agreed, and together, they forged a plan. The act of creation made Maya swell with confidence. It wasn't merely about reaching out. It was about making a statement claiming her identity and asserting her rightful place within the fold of their newfound family. This was not about us versus them, it was about unearthing shared experiences and building bridges. As she sat typing the heartfelt message to their previously unknown family members, a sense of pride surged within her. Each keystroke reaffirmed her growth. Before, her voice had felt quavering and insignificant, but now it rang with conviction and purpose. "I am Maya," she whispered, "and I am worthy of being heard." The next morning, a fresh wave of resolve washed over her as they prepared for the impending meeting. She arranged all the notes, each scribbled word echoing confidence and clarity forged through challenging reflections. The brothers stood beside her, no longer distant figures, but supporters united in this quest for truth. She felt solid, grounded, and recognized not just as their sister, but as an empowered entity resurrecting her own story. When the time came to actually reach out, Maya pressed send with a decisive click that resonated through her bones. It was a leap into the unknown, one with infinite possibilities. Stepping back, she observed the echoes of emotions on their faces. Jason exuded a newfound respect, while their sister's eyes shone with hope rather than trepidation. Together, they had bridged the chasm that had once felt insurmountable. Days turned into weeks, and their inquiries bore fruit. Responses began trickling in, each one filled with cautious optimism and unresolved intrigue. Maya watched in awe as her brothers stepped into their roles, taking charge of conversations, guiding interactions, meeting the challenge head-on with renewed fortitude. It was as if the legacy that had weighed them down had suddenly transformed into a canvas, alive and full of promise. As the long-awaited meeting approached, Maya felt a deep satisfaction ingrained in her heart. She had faced her fears, stripped away layers of self-doubt, and transformed them into unabashed confidence. The day of reckoning arrived, and there they were, the unfamiliar figures who were entwined in a web of shared blood, yet shrouded in ambiguity. When Maya introduced herself, a wave of recognition washed over her, eclipsed by an undeniable strength within. "Today marks the beginning of a new chapter," she declared, her voice unwavering. "We're not here to assign blame or harbor resentment. We're here to seek understanding and connection. Because at the core, we all share a story." And as they began to unravel the threads of their pasts together, Maya felt every preconceived limit dissolve. They were unified not by the scars that had once separated them, but by the richness that was possible when they dared to embrace the tangled truths of their family history. Within these moments, Maya Thompson discovered not only a connection to her siblings, but also the profound realization that the power to heal and redefine lies within oneself. Her journey had taken her from being a hidden figure to someone who illuminated her family's story with passion and purpose. Maya felt accomplished, rooted in her inherited strength. The promise that awaited on the horizon was indeed tied to her very essence. Today, they forged ahead not as separate entities, but as a connected family, ready to step into whatever came next with open hearts. You need to subscribe now to not miss out on the next incredible journey of personal transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to fuel our community and ensure more stories like this reach those who need them most. Comment below your thoughts and theories about this conclusion. And lastly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspirational resolution. Don't wait even one more second to be part of this empowering movement.